Look at that.
I started recording, so we'll keep all this for posterity.
Okay, excellent.
Everyone now be careful what you say.
Exactly. Hey, Leanne Stewart, I see you.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Good. How are you? Hey, Mindalia. How
Thank
are you?
God. Thank God. Okay. And you?
Good. Thank you.
Good.
Okay,
Debbie
we'll
Blake is
just-
going to try to get on too.
Yes, he emailed me today. That would be excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Are you
Hey,
covered in
Lord.
snow? Debbie,
Uh-huh.
are you covered in snow? Did it just
No,
look-
it's all gone now. We had about 8 inches and yesterday was the first day we saw grass and now it's all gone.
Oh,
My brother said when he lived in Seattle, it was either raining or misting.
Well, that's pretty much true.
we had a week of about 12 inches over here.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I was there, but I missed Seattle. My aunt was in.
Jesse.
Portland. Okay.
Oh,
Jess. Sweetheart.
Steffi, how are you? Mwah.
Good. Esther told me she has to watch the recorded version, so make
Yes.
sure it.
We texted back and forth. Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's so good.
I'll
to see
share the recording, I guess, with you, Debbie, and you'll just
Broadcast it.
send it out to your friends
Yes.
and family.
Definitely. Hey, Micro Boy.
I think we're going to get started. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Louis
Okay.
Chapman. Oh my gosh.
So
Michael?
I'm going to mute everybody just because
Okay.
this is a talkative bunch,
No.
and
Micro
I'm
boy.
I'm gonna mute everybody because I can, and we're gonna get started. We'll talk a little bit about what we're gonna do, although there's no like official program. I thought this would be more like a lot of this, and we have Cantor Vadim
Can't hear
Tunitsky
anyone.
who's gonna share some song with us, and I saw another Cantor here, someone who signed in as Cantor. Who was that? Chazan Richard Nadell. Can you identify yourself? Is your camera on? And would you like to share some music with us a little bit later?
Hi, this is Richard Nadell. I don't think I'm going to be in a position to share music.
Okay.
I'm not even sure that I knew Cantor Dean, but I met him through his music.
Oh,
And
well,
when
let's
he
let's hear about that. Talk.
He sent music to the Cantors Assembly, and I took a look at it. And my gripe, without mentioning other names, was that everybody seemed to be singing music of a particular cantor, a particular rabbi, I should say, who posthumously got himself into very deep trouble with hideous allegations against him. And I felt
This is a family
gee,
program, so let's keep it clean.
isn't there anybody that the Cantors Assembly has as a member who's capable of writing singable congregational melodies that we can use instead? And all of a sudden, I started getting emails from the Cantors Assembly of Irving Dean's music, and I eagerly looked at it. And since I'm on the faculty at JTS in the Cantorial School, I began to share a lot of his music with my students because I thought it was absolutely usable, and it would have been tragic to let it go and not use it. And that's all I can say.
Wow. First of all, thank you for sharing that. That is incredible. I'm so happy I picked on you. I have to say that I know this story, but I didn't know it was you. Cantor Dean, when I would speak to him from time to time, would tell me that he was writing music in his retirement. I guess, Debbie, you're showing some examples of his latest, greatest. And he said to me, Rabbi Gelman, they're actually using this in JTS and other places. And I have to tell you, Cantor Nadell, it gave him such a sense of joy and pride and accomplishment to know that even after he had retired for many years and wasn't in the active cantorate, he was still able to contribute to the field, which was the love of his life. And so I knew the story, but I did not know it was you. I don't know, Dean family, did you know it was Cantor Nadell? Debbie, you're muted.
Yes, I did.
Great.
Yes, because Cantor Nadell emailed me after he got the music, because I've been sending it all to the Cantor's Assembly because my dad wanted me to. I still have a pile here where I've been working on forever and organizing it to send more. So it was the one thing that my dad wanted so badly to get done. And he was just obsessed with getting it done, and would sit here at this same table 5-6 hours every single day except Shabbos, and he would write music all day long. And it was incredible.
So when's the book coming out?
Well,
When is
first
it?
it's going to the Cantor's Assembly, then they're going to organize it, and then I'm going to have other copies, because he wanted us to just give it to people who wanted to use it,
Wow,
so that it would not
that's
just
great.
disappear. So Cantor Nadell, thank you
Well,
so
thank
much
you.
for those words. That just means so much to us.
Absolutely my pleasure.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
You'll get a special copy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. That was wonderful. You know, I feel like saying Dayenu, if that's all we get from tonight, right? Then that's a great nugget. That's fantastic. Okay,
Can I tell a
Cantor.
local story in the same vein?
Yeah, go ahead, Dove.
One of the cantors here at a Reform Center, I won't mention his name, but let me say that modesty was not his chief trait. And one day, on the second day of Yontif, he comes and he's there. And I said to him, "Oh, are you here because you grew up in a conservative synagogue?" He said, "No." He said, "I want to hear Cantor Dean. He is the finest musician of any cantor in the city, and maybe that I've ever heard."
Wow.
And this is a person who has considered himself a very superb singer and musician, and clearly his musicianship was above and beyond. Matter of fact, the last thing I think he took was when he wrote the Kabbalat Shabbat that we put on. Davey sang it, and I was in the choir, and I believe that was his last trip. So
Yes.
we sung in a synagogue, and it was for me, it was such a great honor to be in that choir and to sing it. It was just beautiful. So I just want to, his idea that he was a great musician is, everybody who heard him knew it.
Thanks, Dove. Okay, Cantor Tunitsky, thank you for joining us. Cantor Tunitsky is a local cantor here who knew Cantor Dean, who worked with Cantor Dean. I reached out to some local cantors to see if they could share either reminiscences and or some music in memory of Cantor Dean. And Cantor Tunitsky has graciously agreed to take of his time to share that with us. So Cantor Tunitsky, I'm pinning you, I'm spotlighting you for everyone. And thank you for joining us to honor our beloved Cantor Dean. And we look forward to listening to you.
I know what you're talking about. He's muted.
I can't hear him.
He's muted.
You're muted. You're muted, Cantor.
So it's been over 26 years since I arrived in Houston. And I met Cantor Dean in 1995. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that I'm the only cantor here in Houston who is still in good memory to remember this exceptional cantor. And because Cantor Grober's gone, and Cantor Proper's gone, and Cantor Kahn's gone, and others gone, Burker's gone, all those people knew Cantor Dean very well, and I was among those. He did have a special place in everybody's heart. I am not claiming to be unique in this, because the music which I thought to play, I'm gonna play in my violin, to touch the strings of his immortal soul. And because he was such a delight. And it's not just his music and just his voice, which of course was exceptional, but people remember his smile. And never a wrong word from his mouth. It's always positive. And also, Houston, as you know, is famous for very close-knit community among conservative, reform, and Orthodox Cantors. And he was, of course, with United Orthodox. Barry, you worked with him for how long? Barry?
16 years. Till
16
he
years.
moved away. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a delightful person. And I think my music will speak much more than my words. And since you said that we're doing this in memory of Catherine, I want to play first melody, Shalom Rav, in his memory, because he was about Shalom, and not in his words, but in his actions. And so this is the melody which was written by Cantor Finkelstein of Congregation Baptist Shuren, and I want to play it now.
Might be because of the internet.
So this melody is in memory of Cantor Dean, but he was a delightful person. He was always, as I remember, he was always with a big smile and full of joy. I would like to know, Barry, where he came from. His parents, his ancestors, did they come from Russia? No?
Poland.
From Poland. Okay. Then these melodies will be very close to that place where he came from.
Cantor,
And just one more melody, because Cantor Dean officiated at so many weddings, and I thought that this melody would be so appropriate to play in his memory.
Rabbi,
Beautiful.
very nice. Rabbi,
Thank you, Cantor Janitsky. Thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us. Please stay with us.
Rabbi,
Yes, go
can you hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. My name is Bernie Dienstag. I'm Cantor Dean's nephew. And actually, I'm a retired cantor. I was a cantor for 40 years in Harrison, New York. And I would not have been a cantor had it not been for my uncle, Irving Dean. Now, he was one of 5 brothers who came from Melitz, Poland. He was the only brother born in America. They were separated, and the other brothers came in half and half. In those days, the war separated them, and where they all came into this country, and he was separated from his father was separated from Rivka, and that's when he came into this country. Irving Dean was born in America, and he got all his training as a cantor privately. His father got him music lessons, chazunisha lessons, and he was in the Henry Street Settlement. He performed at the Henry Street Settlement on the East Side. He almost got an offer to be on Broadway. He got a review in the Times, actually. So I was very familiar. I was 5 years old, and I was very familiar with him from his early years. And he lived with us, actually, with my father and my mother for several years in our home after his father remarried and when his mother passed away. So he influenced me, taught me music. We did weddings together when I was a child. And I was on the radio with him as a child for the Three Lucky Sevens broadcast on WEVD. And he was a tremendous influence on my life. I loved him tremendously. And when the war came and he had to go overseas, I was heartbroken because he was really a substitute father to me. And so he was really not only an important man in my life, but we loved him dearly up to this very day. And we speak about him on a daily basis. He a remarkable human being. And Millie, his wife, was also a tremendous influence on the family as well. So, of course, when he got this position and he left us, we know him beforehand, all of the wonderful things that he did and for our family, and in particular for me. I will always think of him forever.
Thank you, Bernie.
Yes.
So first of all, you resemble him. I'm sure people have told you that.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Second of all, would you like to sing something?
Well, I will sing the first song that he ever taught me.
Oh, excellent.
He said, Bernie, I want you to sit down. I'm going to teach you a song. You're going to be a Vimali boy. You're going to go down the aisle in a white robe and bless the bride and groom. I said, okay. And this is the song that he taught me when I was 6 years old. And we sang that song, I don't know how many weddings I can remember. I must have sung that song at his behest maybe 100 times.
What a great performance. What a great voice. My goodness. Wow.
Well,
Yeah, and I put in the chat,
I
Bernie.
listened to him for many hours and learned to sing from listening to him.
I put in the chat that if you close your eyes, you really sound like him.
Yeah. Well, it's in the genes, I guess.
So yeah, you guys have the same. You have the same vocal cords. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Bernie.
That was beautiful. Okay, so I thought what we would do, besides let's have Cantor Tuniski play for us and all the beautiful reminiscing, and Bernie, thank you. It's the cherry on top. That was so beautiful. I thought we would do is we would study a little some sources from our tradition.
Before we do that, Cantor Dienstag mentioned Cantor Dean service in World War II, and I think it's important to say something about that. Somebody wants to say it. He told me stories. I'm ready to. I think it's important because he could have gone in as a chaplain. He refused. He served in the artillery, which was a very risky thing for someone who made his voice from his ears and his voice, and he still did it. He even told me one time that he was told that to be quiet because the Germans were near, and he said he could hear German being spoken on the line, and he was really a hero. And I think it's important to remember that he served his country and that he served well, and he was on the landing at Normandy, not the first day, but soon after. And I think it's important to remember that he chose to serve that way instead of being a chaplain and to basically to risk everything. So
there's a little personal recollections about that. First of all, he was singing with my Aunt Millie over the radio, and they were singing quite a bit. And he knew that he was going to be called any day. But if you went down there, and even though you're going to be called maybe 2 or 3 days, if you went down and said, I'm volunteering, they let you choose the outfit that you would serve in. So you had a limited choice of where you wanted to serve. And so he decided to go to the office himself and not be waited to call. So he was assigned to the Howitzer big guns, those tremendous guns that would shoot, and that's where he served in that capacity. He once called my Aunt Millie. This is a funny story, and he said, if I go to jump camp and as a paratrooper, I'll get $50 a month extra. She said, what? So she started screaming, said, okay, I won't do it. But so he decided not to go to jump school for the extra money. But he was gone for 4 long years.
Wow.
And I remember they made a recording to Millie. You'll never know just how much I love you. If you remember that song, he made a recording. I don't know if it was from overseas and he sent it to her. You'll never know just how much I care. That one was one of the World War II love songs that he sent to Aunt Millie. Anyway, when he came back after 4 years, everybody was in tears. He went to Brooklyn, where Millie's parents lived. And that was the first time we saw him after 4 long years. And everybody was in tears of joy, hugging and kissing him. It was quite a scene.
Thank you. And he told me, and then we'll get to the learning, that when he went back to France, to Normandy, he went to a cafe that had the names of people who participated in D-Day. And he must have been wearing a cap or something indicating that he participated. And when he walked in, everyone stood up and gave him a standing ovation. And he recalled that story to me. Thank you, Dove, for bringing that up, and Bernie for filling in some of the details. One other thing that Cantor Dean...
He was in uniform at his wedding. And shortly after, the wedding ceremony was put together very quickly. Shortly after that wedding ceremony, he was gone.
Wow. So besides being in the army, Cantor Dean was a chassid. He was born into a Hasidic family. And I thought we would serve his memory well to looking at a few Hasidic sources about music and about just what music means and what music can do. And I think we'll see a little bit of Cantor Dean in some of these sources as well. So you have the, hopefully, is it on the screen? Could everyone see it on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So, okay. So we'll look at we'll skip a little bit. We'll look at this source from Rabbi Pinchas of Koritz from Lvov. So not only was he a chassid, he was a Polish chassid. So that's hitting Cantor Dean's sweet spot. That's right, Polish roots that we just heard. And Rav Pinchas Mikoritz says something beautiful, which I think really speaks to Cantor Dean. Also something that Cantor Nadel mentioned earlier. So he says lifamim. This is, let me add numbers to the sources here. So this is source number 4. Hold on a second, pardon me. Source number 4. Lifamim, kishe'adam minagein v'efshar lo laharim kol. Sometimes when a person sings, he cannot raise his voice. Ukesheba ish la'azor v'rimet kolo. But when someone comes to help and sings strongly, gam hu yachol larimet kolo. That person who is having trouble singing now finds the strength, finds their ability to raise their own voice. Hu gam kein misod itdavkut rucha berucha. This is the secret significance of uniting soul to soul. It is a beautiful idea that's being expressed here. And that is the power of two people singing together, the power of bringing together people to sing. And Cantor Nadel said it earlier on, that Cantor Dean's strength was writing music and singing music that allowed people to sing. Right? Cantor Dean, I don't think he underestimated his quality of his voice, but he really was in it to bring other people to sing and to have people join together to sing and to help people who couldn't find their own voice to be able to find their voice by either joining him or by having other people join. And such a beautiful idea. And then the most beautiful piece at the end is it davkut rucha berucha. Then Cantor Dean managed to bring us together, not only sort of on the surface level that we're all singing together, he united our souls. It almost felt like it was just one person, right? It was almost one person in the room when Cantor Dean did Kol Nidre. It was as if it was just one voice. All of us were sort of joined together as one neshama, right? As one soul. And that's the power that Rav Pinchas of Koretz is talking about when it comes to the power of song, the ability to give voice to the person who feels that they can't express themselves, and to bring people together. And when I read this, immediately I thought this is something we should share in memory of Cantor Dean. And another beautiful source of Klonimus Kalman Shapiro, also Polish Chassid. Ha'adam tzarich la'asot sulamot la'alot al yadehem lefamim hashamayma. Sometimes a person must build ladders to climb to the heavens. We're all trying to, and somehow connect to God, connect to a higher power. And sometimes we try to build a ladder. And then he says, Hanigun hu echad me'asulamot. A nigun, a song, a wordless song, is one of those ladders. Ubefrat kishemirananim achar simcha shel mitzvah uvalev nishbar. Especially when we sing after the joy of a mitzvah and with a heart broken open. And Cantor Dean, when he was up there, when he was davening, it was clear that he was besimcha. It was clear that he was experiencing great joy. Again, not the great joy of hearing his own voice, but the great joy of hearing our voices. And he was our ladder, right? He was our ladder to the heavens. He was the human ladder. We climbed on his shoulders, so to speak, or floated on his musical notes up to heaven, and allowed us to connect to God and connect with people in the shul and connect with ourselves on such a deep way, such a deep level. I like to think about Cantor Dean in that image as a ladder. He wasn't the tallest guy, but he was his music made it to heaven, and we were able to climb on those rungs. Okay, let's learn a little bit more. So here's something interesting. There's the Abarbanel, not a chassid, medieval commentary on lots of things, including the Bible. Actually, in next week's parsha, because next week's parsha is Parshat Bishalach, and that's when we have the first song in the Torah, right? The Song of the Sea, Az Yashir, the Shirat Hayam. And synagogues often make a big deal of having a special Shabbat around music on Shabbat Shira. And in his introduction to his commentary on the Song of the Sea, the Abarbanel writes an essay about different types of music. He talks about poetry and music, and he talks about the power of music. This is what he says. He says music is chosen often ahead of stories and just words. People forget stories. Even if people spend a lot of time studying them, they forget stories. But when words are put to music, to sing them and to play them, they will forever be remembered. Through the medium of song. Later in the Torah, when talking about another song in the Torah says this, and this is source number 7. And the many evils and troubles befell them, etc., etc. For I know since it will never be lost from the mouth of their offspring. Then this poem, this song, shall confront them as a witness, since it will never be lost from them, from the mouth of their offspring. Song is always Valzeh Amru Chazal, our rabbis taught, Kol HaKorei Below Ne'ima, the Shoneh Below Zimra. If someone reads the Torah without the cantorial, not the cantor, without the trup, without the notes, or studies without putting their study to sort of a sing-song, Alav HaKatuv, the Torah says about them, Gam ani natati lehem chukim lo tovim. It's as if I have given them rules which are not good, meaning they're not going to remember them. Song has this power of remembering, and we saw it tonight. Bernie, when's the last time you sang that wedding song before tonight and you remembered it? Right? I don't know when the last time is, but
The last time I sang it, I did it as a duet with him when I went to visit him a few years back in Seattle.
And before that,
I have the video.
Okay, but it's been and before that, when was the last time you had done it?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yes, but you remember, right? We all know. We remember song, right? So that's what this teaching is reminding us of, that we remember song. And we know to this day, I could sing Cantor Dean's Kol Nidre. Many of us could sing, given a machzor or given a siddur, we remember his tunes. We sang them for years, and we remember them. One other source before we finish this, the top source. This is from Divrei Hayamim, where it talks about Asaph. You see here was the chief musician. Asaph, the chief. Zechariah, second in rank. Yechiel, Shmiramot, V'Yechiel, Matitya, V'Eliyav, V'Nayahu, V'Oved, Edom, V'El, B'Chlein Nivalim, V'Chinorot. This was a band, a group of singers that Asaph put together. And it's interesting. This is really interesting. Asaph was the head of the music department for King David. What does Asaph mean? His name was Asaph, but Asaph means to gather together. So it wasn't only his name, it was his essence. Right? His essence, because he was the chief musician, the chief cantor of King David, he brought people together. He brought his band together. He brought the people together. And that was Cantor Dean, right? He brought us together with song, with his smile, with his optimism, with his love of the congregants. Everybody, he loved everybody, and everybody loved him. He was a gatherer. He was a gatherer of people, a gatherer of fans, of people who loved him. And it's so perfect that the chief cantor, the chief musician of King David was called Asaph, really reminiscent of the wonderful character traits of Cantor Dean, whose name was not Asaph, but maybe it should have been, because that's really very much who he was, the type of person that he was. And someone's putting here, and Mindy wrote, he was adel, kind, gentle, whose smile filled up every room. That is so true. So these are a few mostly Hasidic sources about song from Polish Hasidim, nonetheless, right out of Cantor Dean's Alterheim, and I hope you found them meaningful and a wonderful way to memorialize him, and that they rang true. And that's what I wanted to share. I think there are some people who want to share something. So Stuart, why don't you go ahead?
So I look around on the screen and I see a number of people who had the pleasure, like I had, of singing in Cantor Dean's choir for many, many years at the United Orthodox Synagogue. And like when I listen to the people singing in the synagogue I'm in now, I actually hear Cantor Dean's melodies because they don't do it the way he did it. And especially with the all-male choir we had. And it was such a pleasure singing with him for, I guess it was pretty close to 35 years. And my sons were bar mitzvah and under him, and we all sang together. And there was a number of father and sons who he gathered, as you said, to this choir. And we all worked together and sang. And it was memories that we'll never, never forget. He was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful cantor and man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
I'm going to post some of Cantor Dean's videos in the chat, so you could open them up on your browser and listen later when we're done.
Rabbi, can I make a comment?
Please, please.
Earlier, you were talking about the music that he wrote. Debbie has been collecting it. They're pretty interesting photographs of looking over his shoulder at the table full of music that he was writing by hand daily for years. What Debbie has done is collect everything. She sent me a ton of emails with all of these pieces. I haven't counted them, but I'm guessing they're upwards of 200 pieces.
There's that 400 more.
Oh my God. So we are gathering this and organizing it according to the siddur or the machzor or wherever it belongs. So they're gathered in the appropriate order, and they're going to be published or made available free to anyone that needs to download and look at it. But the comment that I wanted to make about his music was, when you look at it as a musician or somebody who understands the music, it was written for the ordinary man, even though he wrote it for chazanim to sing. It was not overly flowery, operatic, music that is done by many people to kind of show off their skills. Cantor Dean, my dad, wrote the music as if it were melodies that everyone could sing and learn. And when we release this to the world, you'll see the lasting legacy of that kind of music that he wrote for everyone. It wasn't fancy, it was beautiful. And it was always by the nusach. It was always, as I used to say about Dad, he just didn't care about it being fancy. He wanted to get it right. And he did this all the time. So what Debbie has done is collect this, send me, and she's going to send me some more. And I'm gathering it and organizing it, and we're going to put it out there in a way that everyone can eventually download it for themselves and learn the last, I don't know how many hundred songs, melodies that Dad wrote for davening. It wasn't anything else. It was strictly for davening. That was my comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very, very exciting project.
A big project.
It's a big project. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. Would anyone else like to share something? The floor is open.
Hello. Everybody hear me? No?
Go ahead, Stu.
All right. So I want to first start by reassuring everybody that I'm not going to be singing tonight. And I could hear Cantor Dean saying, Baruch Hashem, thank God. So there you go. I can sum up how I feel in just 4 words, and that is, I miss my friend. Discussion about being a cantor, being a soldier, but I really miss my friend. I miss calling him, every week. And, just last week, Siri said, how come you don't call Cantor Dean? What's going on here? Because I used to go, hey, Siri, call Cantor Dean. I miss the fun, we used to share such fun stories together, about him growing up on the Grand Concourse and, and me growing up in the Bronx. And yes, we talked a little bit about the politics of shul. Weather was always a big topic for us. How's the weather in Seattle? It's raining. I go, how's the weather in Houston? Well, the usual 112 degrees. So, yeah, I mean, that's really, it sums it up in 4 words. I miss my good friend. I miss how wonderful he used to make me feel. I know I'm not going to get that specific individual feeling back again. I don't think anybody, when I call them on a Friday, will say to me, I wasn't sure it was Shabbos. I'm glad you called. So those are the kind of things. Those are the kind of things I will miss. I will miss, and I know everyone else misses him too for all these different reasons. The story about him with the howitzers and fire. And fire. I went to him one time. I go, Cantor, I'm a little I'm a little curious here. I mean, here you are. You want to be at a chazan. You want to daven. Didn't that affect your hearing? And he goes, they always told me to close my ears and to bend down. And I go, and he goes, I never knew why they told me to bend down. So, it was very clear it didn't affect his music. And, psychologically speaking, music does so much for the neshama, does so much for the soul. And I want to thank him for, giving my neshama some extra energy. And I miss him very much. Thank you.
And he loved those calls.
Yep.
My office is right near his bedroom, and I would just hear him laugh and carry on. It was a wonderful thing. A beautiful
fun. Really good time.
Debbie, we've never spoken about this before, but David, the interview that you did, which went to the Cantor's Assembly, and it was supposed to be organized and, put online, et cetera, et cetera. Debbie has a copy of all of that, and it's going to be part of the memory collection. It's a great interview. It's what is it, Debbie? 2 hours or something?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to edit it down, of course, but it was a long interview.
You've got the uncut version, and it was a wonderful, where David and was able to ask about history and growing up and what it was like, all the different elements of Dad's life, which I think when it's finally gathered and put online properly, it's going to be a beautiful memoir.
It will.
To remind everyone, the Yartzheit is, did I tell you, Monday night to Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so everyone should know that Cantor Dean's Yartzheit is officially on Monday night and on Tuesday. So if you're somewhere where there's a shul available, or not, you could daven in his memory, sing a song. You could sing Kol Nidre, even though it's not Yom Kippur. It's never too early to repent now, avoid the holiday rush.
There you go.
Right? Or one of your other Cantor Dean favorites. I just sent out some links so you could see those.
Oh, great.
And they're in the chat here, so you open them up on your browser before we end the call.
Has anybody collecting his jokes?
I have a bunch of them on video.
Yeah, there's so many of them. It's almost impossible to collect them all.
Send out an email and collect them. I got 50 of them. I tell all the time.
Oh yeah. We've got to figure a way to organize. Debbie is the center point for organizing this. I'll put it together in my own way, but she's the centerpiece for if anyone wants to send things, send it to Debbie. She'll make sure it gets in the right hands, and we'll
Look on jokes.
Okay. So
unbelievable.
I know that there's also the family's working on an unveiling
Yes.
somewhere down the road.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll be able to gather in person.
Yes. And we want to have a big memorial.
Yes.
We're going to do a memorial celebration in a large sense, not at the cemetery, but in the social hall. But Dad was very specific about saying he did not want it to be when people were wearing masks. So we're putting it together. We're organizing it. There'll be video, there'll be music, there'll be people speaking. It's going to be properly done, but we're going to wait until perhaps a time will come, God willing, when people don't have to wear masks and when we can all be together in one big place.
Please,
And there
God.
will be ice cream and chocolate.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think also, I think there should be honey cake.
And honey cake, of course.
For sure. Sherry, you're in charge of baking all the honey cakes.
But honeyless honey cake.
That's
Honeyless
right.
honey.
There's no honey in it. That's
May
right.
I say something?
Please, Mindy.
Yes.
Sorry, I have laryngitis, so I knew the Cantor for many years. And
Perfect. Speaking with
I work with
laryngitis about a
him.
Cantor.
I worked with him, and as I said, he had the kindest, gentle soul and such a mensch, and really very edel. I know that my father, Love Shalom, loved getting together with him on Sukkot, and we loved having the Cantor over, and we always loved Sherry's exactly honey cake, which was not honey, but has its special ingredients. And when I moved to Houston, at all the Broadway shows that Cantor and Mrs. Dean put on together, and all those famous plays from many years ago, and how well they did. And I just wanted to share a very, very short story that Rabbi Radinsky, Alav Shalom, I think shared at Mrs. Dean's funeral. And I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Debbie or Sherry or Ronnie, that on their very first date, he picked her up, and I think they were going on a bus, and your mother fell on the step, and the Cantor said, "Oh, you're falling for me already." And so I said it was a short story. I know you're all surprised, but short it is. But that's how he shared in the eulogy that your mom fell for him right away, and they were a beautiful couple together that everyone admired, and a beautiful family. And his memories and all his brilliant music. And yes, this Shabbos being Shabbos Shira and how people connect to his song should give you many, many fond memories and bring his neshama as an aliyah, because there's no doubt that he's probably not heading the choir because he's too humble, but he's singing with everyone right now in the choir with his beautiful voice.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Wow.
Okay. Well, my friends, thank you so much. Oh, Bernie, go ahead, Bernie.
I just wanted to add one thing. You know, everybody talks about the kavana and how he brings the liturgy to life. He doesn't just sing the liturgy. And, you know, his background is his father, Rabbi Binyamin Beinish Dienstag, who was a Baal Tefillah as well as a rabbi, and the rich background. And he was also an author of a book on religious philosophy, and that's the background that Cantor Dean comes from. In fact, 64 years ago, Rabbi Binyamin Beinish Dienstag and Cantor Dean was the rabbi and Cantor at our wedding. That's 64 years ago. So, but that was his father was a tremendous, and Ronnie was the Vimale boy.
Right, I have a picture of it.
And Lily was the soloist.
Right.
But you know, I just wanted to, you know, the kind of ability to bring alive the liturgy word by word comes from his background and his father. So I just wanted to, you know, I don't know that too many people are familiar with his father. And that was one of the things that went into his background.
Yeah, he was his father, by the way, Bernie, you know this. Growing up and living in a Hasidic community in the Lower East Side, there were a lot of people who were anti-Israel back in the day, and there's still some, obviously. But my grandfather, dad's father, was the kind of person that was always pro-Israel, and he was constantly trying to convince people they have to move to Israel and they have to, et cetera, et cetera. Well, he wrote an amazing sefer called Titen Emet LeYaakov, which is very beautifully done, and it was all the background and the true meaning of why people need to pick up and move to Israel. And at a very late age, what is it, in his 80s, was it, Bernie? I can't remember.
Late 80s. He was in the late 80s.
He moved to Israel, and he's buried. He lived in Israel, and he's buried in the famous cemetery in Bnei Brak. And so
He left right after our wedding. Yeah, right after our wedding, he immigrated. Yeah.
So just the background.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
you. So much.
I hope that this was, for me, it was beautifully uplifting to have these wonderful memories, and may Cantor Dean's neshama have an aliyah. And we should say his Hebrew name, Yitzchak ben Binyamin, his neshama should have an aliyah. And we should all, I know we are all blessed to know him and to have sang with him and learned from him and lived with him. And Hashem really blessed this world by putting a soul like his. And really, we should all feel personally touched by God that God put him in our life. And I certainly do.
By the way, his mother's name was Rivka.
Rivka. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yitzchak ben Binyamin Rivka. It takes two to tango. We should always mention the mother's name. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Thank you for that. And thank you all. Thank you, Bernie, for your wonderful singing, and Cantor Kunitsky for your playing, and Cantor Nadel for that beautiful story, and everyone else for sharing and just for joining. And I'm sure everyone being here means a lot to Cantor Dean's family. And it's great to see all of you. And we should come together for happy occasions in person. Bimheira b'yameinu.
Amen.
And thank you to Rabbi Gelman for putting this together for us.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you
All right.
so much.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh. Who pushes the button to turn it off?
I'm just waiting till everyone gets off so the recording has everybody.
Okay.
All right. I'll say goodnight. I'll turn it off now. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Nice to see you, Ronnie.